Peace to Joan and Miss Denny in the chat. Family, if you, before we get started, please make sure you share this with your friends, family. Hit your social media links, share the links, hit the thumbs up or the hater button on your way in. We're going to talk about it today. So please make sure you get ready. Let's get some eyeballs on this thing. All right, fam, let's do it. Hey, what's up, family? It's your man, Mark Black. Welcome to your Sucka-Free Saturday. As I stated before, my Sucka-Free Saturdays will be live and in living colors. So please make sure you're here for your weekly broadcast where we talk about various topics, especially from an ADOS perspective. Today, I think is going to be a good broadcast. We're going to be discussing reparations, but we're going to be discussing it from a slightly different twist, right? Because one of the things that people often ask us is, where the hell is the money going to come from? Well, I've got some ideas on that. So please, family, if you haven't done so already, by the way, shout out to Midtown. Welcome to the broadcast. Jones in the house, Miss Denny's in the house. If you're here, please make sure you pop yourself in the chat just to let me know so I can shout you out when you come into someone's house, right? Let them know you're there. If you haven't already done so, again, hit the hater button or the like button. Make sure you let YouTube know this is content you want to see. Make sure you also share this across your social media. If you're on Twitter, shoot a tweet. If you on Facebook, put up a post real quick. Let's get some eyeballs on this thing. Before we get started, though, family, just a couple of quick things, if I may. First of all, I do want to give a shout out to people who have tipped their brother. I appreciate them. First of all, I want to give a shout out to the elder brother BGS, brother CC Sanders or Double C, right? Miss Denny. I want to also shout out KT80OS and Thomas B as well. So make sure, family, that if you're here, you have the spare coins, please support your interests, right? As you well know, I do give back. I have a drawing every month at the end of the month on Sucka-Free Saturday. We're a $25 giveaway. I also have different other things that I look forward to doing, but without your help, I can't do that. So if you have the spare coins, you feel like that what I'm doing provides you with something, please make sure to hit the links in the description field to support your interest, because it's definitely appreciated. Also, in the description field, there's something new. As I mentioned on a previous broadcast, I'm looking for an opportunity to provide you with the content that you want to see. So there's a link right up at the top of the description to a survey that tells me what type of topics you want to hear, what things you're interested in learning about. You could give me detailed information so that I'm better able to provide you with the content that you need to be able to hit the ground running with whatever it is you want to do as an ADOS person. And I look forward to getting some of that feedback from you. What else? Oh, one other thing, Ms. Denny. Yeah, I'm getting ready to put you on the spot. I mentioned a while back that Black Outcast Media Broadcasting is looking to expand with different content providers. She has not quite got everything where she wants it just yet, but pretty soon Miss Denny, aka the Black Honey Badger, will be broadcasting live on Black Outcast Media Broadcasting. So you'll have an opportunity to see somebody else's mug other than mine and get some content from a different source. I'm looking forward to making Black Outcast Media Broadcasting a one-stop spot for you to get information on various topics, all germane to your everyday existence here as ADOS folk. So we're looking forward to that debut. And when she debuts, of course, I know you're going to show her just as much love as you regularly do. All right. So family, oh, there was one other thing. First of all, I have to say thank you all of you, for the huge amount of support and views that you give in my last video, the one where I discussed the unfortunate murders of those two sisters from Detroit in Ghana. There was one person, however, who said that the video was fear mongering and divisive or divisive. I wanted to address them directly before I got started on today's Sucka-Free Saturday broadcast. This person essentially stated that my video was in some way breaking a unity that we have with Africa or other members of the diaspora. As you well know, family, we are not unified with them. That is just a fact. There is no standing order of unity between us, other members of the diaspora, as well as Africans. What I did in that video was highlight a clear example of the lack of the lack of unity, the disunity that actually exists between us as ADOS folk and everyone else who is also considered black or of African descent. All too often, our interactions with people from the diaspora as well as from Africa are tinged with this idealistic idea that by us engaging with them, that we're somehow or another reconnecting to our roots, that we are making a realignment to a more African-centered setting for ADOS, when nothing could actually be further from the truth. Whenever you go to places over, thank you, Midtown. I thought it was a great broadcast too as well. Whenever you go to these countries, right? And this is me speaking from other people's experiences. Unfortunately, I have never had the opportunity to go to Africa. However, from my experience, from the stories related to me, from the situations and circumstances related to me, what we find is that our so-called African brothers and sisters treat us in many ways very similarly to how they would treat any other tourists, any whites, right? As a matter of fact, the term Obruni that I used in my previous video is a term that's used to describe white folks, but it's also used to describe us as well. The point that I was trying to make is that, simply put, family, if we're going to engage with Africa and other members of the diaspora, that's perfectly fine. I am not here to try and dissuade you from making connections to other groups of African descent, including continental or homeland Africans. What I am saying is, however, is that we cannot, as ADOS people, afford to be interacting with these other groups from a position of weakness, from a position of thinking that they're better than, or that we are healing a break that we didn't make, right? We were the ones who were trafficked here into the West as slaves, or at least our ancestors were, right? Not them. If anything, the responsibility for sealing any breaches, the responsibility for healing any breaks is supposed to come from Africa first toward us, not the other way around. And to the extent that we find ourselves continually orienting toward a place that has made no real substantive move towards healing, reconciliation, sealing the breaches between us and them, we only put ourselves in a bad spot. By the way, shout out to Black Man 903. I'm glad you're here. So I hope that now that I've clarified things a bit, to that person, won't name them, but to that person, I hope you understand that if the video that I posted up was fear-mongering and divisive, could it be that perhaps our relationship with continental Africans and other members of the diaspora is fearful, is already broken and divided, and I simply highlighted that? Could it be that that is the case? More than you pointing the finger at me and saying that I am somehow destroying some non-existent unity. Why not admit the truth? The truth is that as ADOS folk make forays into Western African nations, into other nations in the diaspora, we are going to be treated as any other outsider. We will not be accepted as citizens. We will not be extended the hand of brotherly love. There's no ties that they feel are so solid that they can't break them if and when they feel that we're taking something from them or denying them an opportunity. So that's what I wanted to say on that. And I appreciate you guys allowing me the time to clarify some of the things that I said in that video. So, family, let's get to it. Today, we are talking about reparations. Now, we're talking about reparations specifically in the sense of where the hell can the money come from, right? Because in point of fact, family, one of the biggest obstacles, one of the biggest hurdles that our detractors say that they see in paying us our due, right, in honoring our justice claim, is they always try to tell us we don't have the money for that. Well, we know that's actual bullshit. And I'm going to lay out a couple of places right now, today, in this broadcast, where I see that money can be diverted, can be given to the American descendants of slavery. In other words, I know where the bodies are buried, where the money is, and they need to cut the check. By the way, shout out to my beloved August Dreams. Welcome to the broadcast. Peace, power, and prosperity to you as well. Family, I titled this broadcast the Hold Your Own Nuts edition, right? Now, I got to give a shout out to Tariq. Many of you, by the way, shout out to BK Hammer. Welcome to the broadcast. I have to give a shout out to Tariq Nasheed with the whole Hold Your Own Nuts thing. Tansavi Jones, welcome to the broadcast. Glad to have you. Because that phrase to me says so much in such a little phrase. Hold your own nuts. Now, let me break it down for you, for those who don't speak hood. Hold your own nuts simply means do your thing by your own efforts, right? It's a visual where you grab your testicles, if you have them, give them a good squeeze, buckle up your intestinal fortitude, your guts, and go for broke. Hold your own nuts. Monty's in the house. Welcome to the broadcast. This phrase is so apropos for us as ADOS people to use at every turn. Say it with me. Hold your own nuts. Right? Because when you as ADOS people are presented with different things, everybody wants you to sign on board with their causes, with their struggles, with their efforts, right? Remember when the pipeline was going through the Indian reservations in North South Dakota, up in the north there, right? The Standing Rock Reservation. They wanted us to stand with Standing Rock. When there's terrorist bombings in Paris and London, they want us to stand with Paris, je suis Paris, right? And so on and so forth. Whenever there's a school shooting or a hurricane or a flood, they want us to give. They want us to come up out of our pockets. They want us to send resources. They want us to send bodies, volunteers. Everybody always has their hand out to ADOS people, asking us to give. Right? But then when ADOS folk turn around and say, whew, glad we made it through that thing. Now, you guys need to help us. Give. We hear crickets. We can't find nobody. We standing out there in the front. LaShawn's in the house. Welcome to the broadcast. We out there in the front digging trenches to prevent the wildfires from spreading. Sometimes involuntarily, because as you know, in California, they used prisoner labor. They used prisoners as firefighters. They didn't pay them firefighters' wages. They didn't offer them a firefighter's pension, but they used their bodies to protect rich people's properties out in the hills and valleys of California, but I digress. So we're out there in the front, always holding our placards or holding the fire hose or standing there waiting to get bashed with the nightsticks and loaded up with CS gas. And then ADOS turns around and say, okay, people, let's go. Everybody? And they all leaving us out there on the motherfucking end of the branch to take the ass whoopings, to put in the work. Thank you, Shatera, for subscribing and joining the Angry Black Sheep. We really do appreciate you. We the ones out there getting our heads kicked in, out there in the fire, in the midst of the shit, in the thick of the shit. No, LaShawn, those prisoners did not get any more time off than they would normally accumulate as good time, right? So if they've had any behavioral issues or altercations in prison, nope, they're still stuck there. Many of California's prisoners, by the way, LaShawn, are lifers due to the 3 strikes laws, right? From the Omnibus Crime Bill of 1996 and California's subsequent adoption of the 3 strikes. Many of those prisoners that are out there fighting forest fires are lifers. They are never getting out anyway, at least under the current so-called criminal justice milieu. Family, I tell you as your brother and one who loves you that it is long, it has long been past time for us to tell everybody to hold your own nuts. To tell our fellow Americans to hold their own nuts, to tell foreign nationals across the seas to hold their own nuts. I don't give a fuck what's happening in Syria. I don't give a damn about Afghanistan. I could care less what goes on in Kenya. I don't give a fuck about Vanuatu. This is not to say I don't have a heart, but this is to say that until we can expect from these people the same energy, the same efforts, the same dedication, the same fire that we bring to every struggle in which we engage, they look good struggling to me. They look damn good suffering to me. Oh, CO2 is increasing and, the climate is warming all over the planet Earth. Huh? Y'all better get on that and do something about that, huh? Bridges is falling, water pipes decaying, so on and so forth. Meanwhile, my people got babies in Flint that are loaded with lead to levels that will fuck with them for the rest of their entire lives, and nobody did shit. You motherfuckers look good struggling to me. Houston just got blasted by another motherfucking flood. I don't give a damn. My man Real, welcome to the broadcast. Real will tell you. He said that I fought fires in California prison for a year. Shit was crazy. Now check this out, Real. Let me ask you a question, bruh. As a firefighter, and by the way, Real, if no one else did this, I am going to do it. Thank you, brother, for your service. Thank you for the efforts you made at helping to preserve life, limb, and property. Nobody probably said thank you for shit, but I will thank you. Thank you for your efforts. Thank you for helping to save lives. Now, let me ask you a question, brother. You were a firefighter on the front lines of wildfire country for a solid year in prison. Can you go out and get a job right now as a firefighter in any jurisdiction there in Cali? Can you get one of those good union jobs? One of those good firefighter union jobs? Where you got health care, vision, dental, benefits, all of that. Love you too, brother. Can you get that, Real? Have they been beating down your door to take advantage of your brush firefighting expertise? I'm going to let the brother take the time to answer, but I will guess that the answer is no. They use our brothers and our sisters for every fucking thing. My sister has done multiple bids in the joint. She worked for Parks and Recreation in Tulsa or in Oklahoma, right? I don't know if it was necessarily in Tulsa. I think she was all over the state when she was a convict. She did all sorts of shit working for them. Got skilled and trained in equipment and so on and so forth. You dig? When she got out, she actually went and applied for Parks and Recreation. Welcome to the broadcast, Spook. And do you know that they didn't offer her a single goddamn job? They was willing to utilize her labor while she was locked up in the joint when they was paying her cents per hour. But when it came time to pony up on a job that has real benefits, that has a retirement plan, nothing was available. Nothing was available for my sister. Family, this is why we need outlets like Black Outcast Media. Where else will you get a chance to hear the real ADOS experience from real ADOS people? Our brother Real was there. He lived this shit. He knows. He knows how black bodies are used to protect the life, limb, and property of people that now step over him. Family, in this country, even white convicts have better employment opportunities and so on and so forth than our brothers and sisters do, well, primarily our brothers, than our brothers do when they get out of jail. A white, non-high school educated convict has more employment opportunities than a black man who could be committed for a non-violent offense and be college educated. The data is there. It supports that. But everybody wants to always have their motherfucking hand out asking us for this, asking us for that. They want us to march. Was it a run for the cure, race for the cure, right? Always shooting us bullshit from the American Red Cross. Mahir, thank you for joining the Angry Black Sheep. We are glad to have you, esteemed brother. They always want us to be ponying up something, putting up some resources, putting up some time, labor, efforts. Real, I gotta set it up, man. I'm telling you, I would love to have a call-in aspect. Family, pop a one in the chat if you would like an opportunity for a call-in aspect to the show, to the broadcast, because I would love to set that up, but I can't justify the cost unless there's definitely an interest, right? Because I'm unemployed, right? My funds to do this comes out of my missus's pocket and the good graces of the fates, right? So if you're interested in that sort of thing, please make sure to either let me know. That's blackoutcastmedia@gmail.com, right? Pop a one in the chat, or you could just you can reach out to me on our Discord server. There's a link to our Discord server there in the description field of this video, because I would love to be able to speak with all of you live. We need more opportunities for real ADOS people to speak on some real shit. Shout out to Maid and Dade and Sister Lila. Welcome to the broadcast. Love you both. And yes, we can do Discord. Real, as a matter of fact, can we dedicate next Sucker-Free Saturday to real stories from the ADOS front line? Family, how about that? Would you be interested in watching that next Sucker-Free Saturday where we actually have people join the Discord and tell their real life ADOS stories, right? From the front line, from the everyday. Would you be interested in having something like that? Because I would definitely love to have that opportunity made available for you. Black man, how much will it cost? I will have to look into it, but the last time I checked, the cost isn't as much as you might think, but it's more than I can call right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you have to have it set up on like a monthly basis, right? And it's based off of the numbers of people that will call in and so on and so forth. So I tell you what, Black man, I will do some family. I got it. Thank you for the feedback. I will make sure this week to do the research to be able to set up a live call-in aspect to the broadcast. And if I'm able to call it, I will go ahead and set it up out of my pocket, free of charge. You can tip, purchase some merchandise, show your love, show your support in other ways. But if I'm able to call it, we will, moving forward, have some sort of live call-in aspect to the broadcast, because this should be a conversation, not just me talking at you. And I'm committing to that to you, family, okay? All right. Now, as you all know, one of the things that these people try to tell us is that America doesn't have the money to pay reparations. Oh, really? Well, you see, that would pass if they weren't talking to ADOS folk. One of the things we ADOS folk, the first things that we learned as a part of our political advocacy is to trace the money, right? To look to see where people's interests are and where the money's coming from. I appreciate that, Miss Denny. Yes, ma'am. So, without further ado, let's start talking a little bit about some of the places where this money could come from, right? As you can see here, family, this is an official U.S. government website, USAID. And on this website here, this is a listing of all the different places in the world that has received foreign aid. Yeah, I said it. Foreign aid is a place where funds can be diverted and provided to ADOS people. As you can see, family, take a look. 209 countries as of fiscal year 2017, 49 billion total obligations there, right? And so on and so forth. Everything from conflict, peace, and security. I'm certain that you're seeing that there. Let's take a look. You see it? Emergency response, HIV, AIDS, and it gives you all the breakdown. Family, if you've ever been interested in learning where your money's going as a taxpayer, this is one great tool for you to check out. This is one great resource for you to check out. By the way, Community First, Double C's, and George, welcome. Welcome to your Sucka-Free Saturday. America's got money. We give money to everybody around the motherfucking world. Let's take a look at a few places, shall we, that are getting money from us, right? Now, as you all know, there's quite a few enemies that America has, right? For example, aren't we supposedly having issues with like Korea and all them and shit, right? Isn't we beefing with China? Well, how is it that we're giving $53 million a year to China for foreign aid? We already borrow from China out the ass, right, to fund our deficits and shit. So we're basically borrowing money from them to give it back. How the hell does that make any sense? Here's somebody else to take a look at. Saudi Arabia. We don't give them a lot of aid, but we give them aid. Saudi Arabia has oil resources and helps fund some of the greatest terrorist acts all over the motherfucking planet. But we give them bread. Here's somebody else you should look at. This little country right here. Israel. Israel gets $3 billion with a B dollars in foreign aid. And what the hell is Israel doing for us? What are those so-called Jews doing for us? How is what we're giving them benefiting us? My nephew Dave is in the house. Welcome to the broadcast. BK, this information right here is U.S. aid. If you do a Google search for foreign aid obligations, United States, this website will pop up. It's the U.S. Agency for International Development. This is an actual United States NGO. Right? Look at this. Egypt, $370 million in fiscal year 2017. Right? Of course, as you well know, the nations in the dark blue, the darker the country, the more bread they get. Wasn't they talking about that we supposedly Russian bots? So how come we can't get some of that $167,000 or $167 million that they gave Russia in 2017? Yeah, holla at your man. Where's our check? We supposed to be Russian bots, right? We supposed to be trying to subvert the democratic process here in the United States, you know, being puppets at the hands of Russia. Where's some of that bread that Russia got from us? We paid Russia. Russia didn't pay us. Where the fuck is the foreign aid check that I received from Russia? I mean, we could go on and on. Take a look. In Iraq, $3 billion. Now, mind you, that's just foreign aid. We're not talking about the almost $4 trillion that America spent prosecuting the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. But they're trying to tell us we ain't got the money. When it comes to paying the due to ADOS folk, all of a sudden, they can't call it. Oh, well, we would love to, but we just can't call it. We don't have the bread like that. Let's take a look. Nigeria, $851 million. Cameroon. Let's look at Africa, right? Here's Gabon, Guinea. Let's take a look. These are all the West Coast, right? Ghana, where many of us came from on slave ships. We paid Ghana $184 million in fiscal year 2017, right? Many of us came from Cote d'Ivoire. We gave them $163 million in fiscal year 2017. Liberia, $212 million, right? Benin, $418 million. People who can't stand our fucking guts as Americans gets millions of dollars from us, right? Let's take a look over here on the Horn. Ethiopia, $1 billion in fiscal year 2017. Somalia doesn't even have a fucking state. And they received $583 million from the United States government. From you and I as taxpayers. Family, just looking at this shit will drive you mad. We give money to people that we know don't give a fuck about us. That would love to see us fucking hang. Look at this. Syria, $890 million. Jordan, $1 billion. Yemen, $653 million. Well, wait a minute. So here we are buying oil from Saudi Arabia, right? So we're not giving them no aid, but we're buying their primary resource. And what is Saudi Arabia doing with that money? Let me tell you what they're doing with that money. They're over here fighting the Houthi rebels in Yemen, dropping devices that are sub-nuclear on entire towns and shit. That's what they're doing with the money that we spend buying oil from Saudi Arabia. Family, I told you this thing is bigger than just you and me. Right? Look at this. Afghanistan, $5 billion. But they ain't got no money to pay you. Pakistan is basically a highly developed second world, if you will, nuclear power that we've given almost $1 billion to in foreign aid. Thank you, Monty. Look, we all know about the corruption in Africa. We know about the corruption in Africa. We know about the corrupt Egyptian governments, right? We know about, let's see here. Let me find it. Zimbabwe. They talked about our brother Robert Mugabe, who I call him my brother because he's a black man, right? He's African, and he goes hard in the pain against the United States. They gave Zimbabwe $194 million. South Africa, $511 million. Look at how much money they gave Colombia. $517 million. And that was just in 2017. Now, family, why am I bringing this up? Why am I going? What the fuck? Canada got 31 million. Canada! They gave money to fucking Canada! I fucking can't. In what world would Canada require any type of foreign aid from the United States of America? I fucking can't. Ukraine, $509 million. India, $104 million. And wait, let's not forget about the off books. The off book help that we give these other countries, right? Because didn't Senator Kamala Harris recently co-sponsor a bill extending H-1B visas, right, Two motherfuckers from India and Pakistan to come over here and take tech jobs? You think that shit don't equal money? Of course it do. When your average tech job is paying anywhere from $50,000 to $70,000 a year, depending on where you live, you can make upwards of 6 figures a year as a tech head. That they then can take from here and take their asses back to here and live like fucking gods. Meanwhile, you and I, ADOS folk, are sitting here in our neighborhood struggling and suffering, scraping and scratching, trying to get by. Your government's got money. Your government's got money to hand out to everybody. To everybody. 209 countries got a piece of Uncle Sam's change. Everybody got a cut. Except you. You work your ass off. You pay your taxes. And what the fuck do you get? You get lead-filled water, dilapidated infrastructure. You get crappy ass schools with books that your kids can't even use to learn. Meanwhile, fuck, even Madagascar can get 112 million just on a humbug. Tell me what our interests are in Madagascar. How is giving Madagascar $112 million benefiting us here in the United States of America? Again, I have no hatred toward the people in Madagascar. Right? I got no hatred toward them. But explain to me how giving that much money to Madagascar benefits us. No, black man, because see, this is separate. This is official U.S. shit, right? This is separate from remittances, right? So let me bring that up, family. Thank you. Thank you, by the way, black man. Let me go ahead and discuss remittances. So, family, remittances are simply this. Let's say that you're from Venezuela, right? And you come here to the United States and you're working here, right? Now, you may still retain your citizenship in Venezuela. You may still have family there in Venezuela, right? So when you're here working, any spare bread you got, you can remit to Venezuela to help your family, right? You help them buy food, pay bills, you know what I'm saying? Do whatever, right? Because it's bread. They can spend it on whatever they want, right? I'm going to do a quick Google search, but let me see if I can find some data real quick. Give me just a second here. So here we are, right? Remittances. This is from the World Bank Group. Thank you, Dre. Welcome to the Angry Black Sheep. We are glad to have you. Record high remittances sent globally in 2018. Remittances to low and middle income countries reached a record high in 2018, according to the World Bank's latest migration and development brief. The bank estimates that officially recorded annual remittance flows to low and middle income countries reached $529 billion in 2018, an increase of 9.6% over the previous record high of $483 billion in 2017. Right? Among countries, the top remittance recipients were India with $79 billion, followed by China, $67 billion, Mexico, $36 billion, the Philippines, $34 billion, and Egypt, $29 billion. That was from the World Bank, by the way, family. That information that I just read you. So India and China, who we're inviting in here in droves under H-1B visas, giving them high-end tech jobs, sending that money back home to benefit their home countries. Meanwhile, Flint still got lead in its water. Meanwhile, we still got hookworm in Mississippi. Meanwhile, we got brothers like Rio fighting fires in California as prisoners. August hit it right on the barrel head. The whole motherfucking planet is getting welfare from America except ADOS. They want to tell us the little motherfucking shit they give us just look, family, the welfare, you got to stop shitting on other black folk. The welfare they give us here in the United States is just enough so they don't have visuals being blasted all over the planet of little black babies and little, poor babies of other ethnicities walking around with kwashiorkor, with their bodies eating themselves. They give people just enough to keep body and soul barely together. People ain't out here eating steak and lobster off of welfare benefits, off of SNAP, off of TANF, off of WIC. They ain't living in palatial palaces off of Section 8. And y'all quick to shit on other black people who might need welfare after 245 years of chattel slavery, another 100 years of legally sanctioned separate but equal Jim Crow bullshit. You want to knock other black folk because they need something. Meanwhile, your brother just showed you that every motherfucking country on the planet is getting welfare off of your motherfucking backs, and you ain't said shit. You ain't said nothing. Ain't none of y'all talked about or questioned why it is the United States is giving millions of dollars a year to countries that we have no fucking interest in. Again, somebody explain to me the strategic interest that we have in Argentina. Explain to me what our strategic interest is in motherfucking Madagascar. I'll wait. Remind me again what our strategic interest is in Cambodia. When's the last time you heard somebody talking about, oh shit, the Cambodians is coming, man, we need to tool up, or we need to help them overthrow their government? Huh? They got money to hand out welfare, because foreign aid, family, is nothing but welfare to nations to help them build their infrastructure. When's the last time you had a politician here in America say, okay, we're not going to cut checks to ADOS folk. Why don't we cut checks to areas where they predominate and build up their infrastructure to increase broadband penetration, to make sure that there's adequate books for education, make sure there's adequate healthcare facilities, absolutely free. We just going to throw some money at it. When's the last time you seen even a black politician volunteer to throw money at you? But they sure got money to throw at motherfucking Mali. Mali got $230 million fiscal year 2017. Explain to me again what our motherfucking interest is in Mali. By the way, shout out to Dezaba. Welcome to the broadcast. What's our interest in Mali? Somebody explain this to me. Mali can get welfare from the United States, but I'm supposed to shit on ADOS people who are fucking citizens who need welfare, who need assistance, who need aid. Hold your own nuts, family, means just that. All these motherfucking countries can hold their own nuts. Because these countries ain't looking to see where America might need aid. When's the last time you heard the motherfucking UN, any nation, whether Africa, Asia, South America, Australia, any nation, any continent, any motherfucking where, When was the last time you saw any one of them go into the UN and said, we have looked at America and there is a people in America that are living in third world fucking conditions. And so we, as a nation who has a heart, have established a fund to provide them with assistance, them directly with assistance. But how many of y'all remember back during the Mengistu regime in Ethiopia when they was having those famines? How many of y'all's families gave money? How many of y'all gave money to feed those little starving Ethiopian kids? That's above and beyond any foreign aid they gave. How many of y'all? Right? When Haiti went through the earthquakes, how many of y'all gave money and resources to help rebuild Haiti, which, by the way, still hasn't been rebuilt because the motherfucking Clinton Foundation, which was the recipient of hundreds of millions of dollars in funds, basically fucked over the Haitian people. Ain't nobody talking about that. The American Red Cross went in there and actually brought cholera along with the UN peacekeepers. But my point is, family, is they got welfare for every motherfucking body on the planet. They got money to take care of everybody on the planet's needs. 203 motherfucking nations. But citizens here within the confines of the country can't get buckets. That's a lie. That's a lie from the pits of fucking hell. They got the money. Make these countries hold their own nuts. Or you make them actually show a benefit, an actual real benefit, not no intangible bullshit like having them as friends makes us feel like we powerful nations or whatever. I don't give a fuck about feeling like I'm a powerful nation. What I care about from everybody is tangibles. What the fuck is Madagascar providing me for the millions of dollars I'm giving them? If they can't put no motherfucking finger on anything tangible that they're actually doing for me and my nation, then they don't get shit. Yeah, I fucking said it. If these countries ain't putting in on America, then why the fuck are we putting in on them? Why are you having to put in on them, ADOS folk? We got rampant ADOS people homeless. We got schools that are cold in the winter and hot in the summer with fucking school books that have been rewritten to call our ancestors immigrants and workers. We got damn nearly non-existent healthcare access in many ADOS communities. But they can make you pony up dough to pay every motherfucking body else with no tangibles. Nothing that benefits you, ADOS folk. You should be madder than a motherfucker right now. Every ADOS person within the sound of my voice, either now or on the re-upload, you should be mad as hell. You should be clamoring to join the angry black sheep and get in on this advocacy. Because you got money. They taking your money, your hard-earned money. You know, all those line items on your motherfucking check stub that go to taxes. They're taking your hard-earned money and giving it to countries that don't provide shit to you. And then these same motherfuckers from these countries come here getting even more access to opportunity, more opportunity to send resources and shit back to their home nations. And the first thing they do is look at your black ass and shit on you. You American black people are lazy. You just don't want to work. You don't want to take advantage of the opportunities America has for you. America ain't offered us no motherfucking opportunities, bitch. You goddamn right, August. I'm 400 years angry. 400 years sick and fucking tired. "400 years sick and goddamn tired." Oh, but family. Come on now, this is your man Mark Black. You know it gets better. It gets better. Because foreign aid is in the billions. Right? Don't seem like a lot of money, especially divvied up around 38, 39 million ADOS folk. So why don't we talk about some real numbers, shall we? Why don't we talk about this right here? Trump and the Democrats agreed to pursue a $2 trillion infrastructure plan. Family, yes, I said it. $2 trillion with a motherfucking T. I'll read you some snippets from the article here. Democratic congressional leaders emerged from a meeting at the White House on Tuesday and announced that President Trump had agreed to pursue a $2 trillion infrastructure plan to upgrade the nation's highways, railroads, bridges, and broadband. Senator Chuck Schumer, Democrat, said that there had been goodwill in the meeting and that it was different than some of the other meetings that we've had. Wait a minute, I thought they hated Donald Trump. I thought Donald Trump was a racist. I thought you couldn't sit down with Donald Trump and discuss nothing of substance. $2 trillion motherfucking dollars, family. Now let's put this into a little bit of perspective, shall we? The low end, oh, don't worry, black man, because that's a damn good question. We'll get to it. On the low end, some of the numbers that I've seen to pay reparations, to cut the check to the American descendants of slavery, is around $1.7 trillion. Trillion dollars. Shout out to Show Nuff, by the way. Welcome to the broadcast, brother. It's good to see you. 1.7 trillion. That's on the low end, mind you. But it's a number that has been calculated and put out there. So you have the Democrats willing to cross the aisle with the so-called most reviled Republican ever in the history of motherfucking Republicans. Worse than the archdevil George Herbert Walker himself, Herbert Walker Bush. Worse than the motherfucking tyrant Ronald Reagan. Worse than Shrub. Worse than Obama. Yeah, that motherfucker was a Republican. You can't get me to believe otherwise. They were able to reach across the aisle with him and get him to commit to $2 trillion for infrastructure. Now, black man asked a really good motherfucking question. How much of that is earmarked for ADOS contractors specifically, right? Brothers and sisters who own businesses that pave roads or that lay fiber, right, to expand broadband penetration and access. Right? That do cement masonry, that do road grading, that do bridge framing. Right? How much of that is set aside specifically for general and subcontractors who are primarily ADOS owned, controlled, and operated? Great motherfucking question. Cause see, $2 trillion, family, ain't shit to sneeze at. It really ain't. Now we talking some real money. We talking some big money. When you start talking about $2 trillion, you talking about some real motherfucking money. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, one of the most avid proponents of the Green New Deal, has been pushing for America to jump on board with this idea of a Green New Deal, to convert our current energy generation and storage infrastructure over to renewable resources. The GAO estimated that in order for the Green New Deal to come off, it would cost a total of $96 trillion. Yeah, I know I'm not supposed to be digging in my ear, but I ain't pop nothing. 96 trillion. Now, of course, the Green New Deal doesn't have to be done all at once, right? It can be funded over multiple fiscal years. You feel me? But 96 trillion motherfucking dollars. That's a lot of goddamn bread. You see, family, America knows how to find the money when it's something that they want to do. Yes, I said it, sure enough, 96 trillion. Check out the information from the GAO, right? The Government Accounting Organization, right? That's the official government accountants. The GAO estimates that the Green New Deal will cost America 96 trillion. Trillion. With a motherfucking T. If enough Americans demand the Green New Deal, it will come off. $96 trillion or not won't fucking matter. And America will find the resources. They will find the money. Matter of fact, family, you want to hear something that should make you sick in a motherfucking? No matter the amount that is ultimately determined to be adequate remuneration for the remediation, restoration, and repair of ADOS folk, no matter what that amount ultimately ends up being, right? You've had Dr. Darity put out numbers. You had Dr. Dark Hamilton put out numbers. You've had various pundits, economists, scholars put out numbers. But whatever that number ultimately ends up being, do you know that America could pay it and not have to raise a single motherfucking tax rate? They don't have to tax America. They don't have to initiate any new taxes. I mean, I think they should, to be honest, but they can pay it without putting in place a new tax of any type. So all these white motherfuckers out here, all these immigrant motherfuckers out here who's telling you that they ain't gonna pay you your reparations, the government can pay you your reparations tomorrow and not have to take a single penny from them bastards. And I'm about to show you right here how it can be done. How many of y'all heard about this? That's right, the $1 trillion coin. I'm gonna run it down to you, family. I'm gonna run it down. I heard about this a long time ago. So what this is basically, I'll just read you a little excerpt from the Wikipedia here, right? I recognize this isn't a motherfucking super great resource, so stall me out, but it'll give you a general synopsis, okay? The $1 trillion coin is a concept that emerged during the United States debt ceiling crisis in 2011 as a proposed way to bypass any necessity for the United States Congress to raise the country's borrowing limit through the minting of high-value platinum coins, unquote. So, family, those of you who remember back in the day with the collapse of the subprime market, right? The housing bubble and the motherfucking recession that started in 2008. This country was fucked. And then in 2011, the motherfucking Republicans said that they wouldn't raise the debt ceiling. The debt ceiling is what allows the Federal Reserve to print the notes it needs to meet its obligations. You feel me? So what Barack Obama at Alia considered was using the power of coinage that they have available to them in Article 1 of the Constitution of the United States to mint a high value $1 trillion platinum coin that they would then deposit with the Federal Reserve Bank allowing the Federal Reserve Bank to claim that as an asset and thus print up the money needed to fund the government's obligations. I know I used a lot of big words there, but family, I hope you got the gist of what it was that I was just saying. America could pay ADOS people right now and not have to raise a single fucking penny in tax. There's no limit in the Constitution to how many of these coins they can mint. Thus, there is no limit to the amount of funds they can generate. All this money is fiat currency anyway. It's money because we think it's money. I hear you, August. I hear you. They sitting here telling you they can't pay you your justice claim. They can't honor your justice claim. They can't pay you your due that your ancestors earned through blood, sweat, tears, through rape, murder, brutality, lynchings. They can't pay you shit. Family, hit the links in the description field. Support your interests. I'm giving you the straight dope today. They telling you, we can't find the money for that. I'm not paying you. My family was immigrants. We never owned no slaves. Black man, even smart people can do dumb shit. May my brothers forgive me for any injuries or wrongs I ever caused them. Hopefully I'm making up for it now. With this $1 trillion coin, this essentially means that the debt ceiling doesn't mean shit. Now, are there some risks to using the $1 trillion coin to fund obligations? Yes, there are. Let's take a look at them, because the primary risk, believe it or not, is simply inflation. Right? Remember QE and QE2, quantitative easing? Right? That was where the Fed window, basically the Fed purchased securities, right? So all these funny, let me, before we go into this real quick, let me holler at you about something. All right. I'm going to give y'all education today. Back when the subprime mortgage crisis happened, it happened due to derivatives. Remember, I've discussed this in previous videos. In economics, a derivative is something that has a value that's derived from something that has inherent value, right? So if I've got 50 chickens, chickens have value because they're fucking chickens, right? But if I sell you chicken bonds, then those chicken bonds are derivatives. They have value based on the underlying value of the chickens. There was a financial instrument called a credit default swap or credit default obligation, CDO, that was being traded by JP Morgan Chase, by Wells Fargo, by all these other motherfuckers, and companies like Lehman Brothers, AIG, and so on and so forth were either involved in the purchase of these derivatives, or in the case of AIG, used their power to be able to certify financial instruments to say that these CDOs were good. These were a good investment. They were A+. Even though they knew that due to the amount of the loans that have been given that were backing these CDOs, there would be no way short of bankrupting the motherfucking country in order to pay back all these funny money house loans. They knew that shit. But AIG and other certification companies and shit signed off on these as triple A quality investments. And so people were buying them up in droves. Well, when people started not being able to meet the mortgage payments on the underlying mortgages that were backing the CDOs, when the money stopped flowing in, the value of the CDOs took a shit. And that's what caused the subprime crisis. Now, what did the Fed do? The Fed went out and actually bought up, using money from the printing press, right? Money from the Fed printing press, from the Treasury, went out and bought up a whole bunch of these bullshit ass securities that had no value, that were worth less, and gave damn nearly full value on these motherfucking investments, therefore stopping JP Morgan Chase from collapsing, therefore stopping Wells Fargo from collapsing, therefore stopping US Bank from collapsing, therefore stopping Bank of Lloyds from collapsing, and HSBC from collapsing, because this shit, an infected American, was spreading all over the goddamn globe. Banks were falling over like dominoes. The Fed came in with QE, with qualitative easing, and basically bought up all these bullshit securities. That's right, sure enough, the money came out of nowhere, ex nihilo, from nothing, and propped up not just America's economy, but the entire global economy every motherfucking where. Oh yeah, family. See, they think that we don't know shit, that we can't learn, that we can't read, that we can't observe, that we won't ask who you, that we won't follow the money. That money came out of nowhere. The Fed printed up the money and basically bought all these bullshit, funny money ass securities. Did you know, family, that banks are still holding on to properties today that they gained during the foreclosure crisis of 2008, 2009, 2010? Yeah. The reason why they're holding them on their books is because as long as they hold them on their books, they can still count them as an asset. But if they have to write off the investment of the loan they paid in it, they take an L. Now, how many of y'all are homeless? How many of you have been homeless? When banks in America own 16 million across the nation single family homes, just sitting there on their books. They'll never recoup the loss they took. They'll never recoup the L they holding. But before they take the L, they'll make sure you don't get access to the shit unless you pay them full fucking value for it. So you got Americans homeless with banks sitting on houses that are completely empty that they'll never recoup the L from. And they already actually got paid off because the Fed's lending window was just throwing the money at them. Usually banks have to pay interest to the Fed when they borrow from the Fed window, from the open market window. Nope, under QE and all that, they basically dropped the motherfucking interest rate to zero. Whenever you hear, remember back in the day, Greenspan used to come on, all these Fed chairmen would come on talking about we need to raise the interest rate, but they never raised it. They kept it at zero for like all these motherfucking years. That was so they could keep pumping that money back into the motherfucking economy. Free money, free fucking money. The banks got paid off in free money. They didn't have to pay shit. So Jamie Dimon can give himself a $250 million goddamn bonus. So they can pay $30 billion in bonuses to JP Morgan Chase across the entire enterprise. You paid for that. And they ain't gave you shit. Chase don't even want to forgive you a motherfucking overdraft when you come up a little short to pay your motherfucking light bill, but they got paid billions. QE 1 and 2 are estimated to have cost America 7 trillion dollars. But they don't have no money to pay you. Thank you, GMAC. Y'all deserve the best information, the best data that we can give you. And if I'm doing that, then I'm pleased. $7 trillion was given to the motherfucking banks and other organizations to prop them up to stop a global economic collapse. And they just gave them the money. Barack Obama didn't look at any other options. He didn't look at what else he could do. He didn't look at to maybe nationalizing banks, like using the post office as a bank. Everybody uses the post office. They forced the post office to run at a motherfucking deficit to the point where they couldn't even meet their retirement obligations. So all of you ADOS brothers and sisters who worked for the post office thinking you had a good government job ended up getting fucked. They could have let JP Morgan collapse. They could have let US Bank collapse. They could have let Wells Fargo collapse. Isn't it supposed to be capitalism? Dog eat dog. May the best motherfucker win. They could have let them shits collapse and created a nationwide bank with branches all over the motherfucking country called post offices. Instead, they gave these sorry capitalist welfare hoovering bitches $7 trillion of your motherfucking money. But they ain't got no money for you, ADOS folk. Tell me another one. Tell me another one. These motherfuckers can mint $1 trillion coin. Right now, it's completely legal. Completely legal. Here, matter of fact, you could go to the article and read the legal basis of it, right? The government has a monopoly on seigniorage, right? On minting coins. They can mint a coin of any motherfucking value they want, and it's legal. They need $1 trillion. They don't need to go through the motherfucking Fed. All they have to do is mint a motherfucking coin and deposit it with the Fed. They don't even have to deposit it with the Fed. The Treasury itself still retains the ability to create currency. They just fobbed it off on the Fed. A private institution, by the way. The Federal Reserve is not a government institution. It's a private one. It's an association of private fucking banks that the U.S. government agrees to do financial business with to put currency into the economy. That's why they stopped being U.S. dollars and became Federal Reserve notes. But they trying to tell you they ain't got no motherfucking money to pay you. They trying to tell you, oh, ADOS people, I know we owe you, but it's just been too long. The amounts are too big. If they cut ADOS people a check for let's say $7.5 trillion. Let's take a look at real quick. So 7.5 I had to make sure I put enough zeros in this bitch. So 7.5 trillion, that is if I put, because that's a big ass number. But if I put it in right, that would mean that they could cut a check to every ADOS person of nearly $20,000. Family, what could you do with $20,000 right now? Wouldn't that be a good down payment on a house for you? Maybe pay off some student loans, pay off your bills. And that's 20,000 per ADOS person. That's men, women, and children. So those of you with families would be seeing a windfall of about $80,000 just come right on in. You, the missus, and your two kids, 80 grand. What could you do with 80 grand right now if it came into your hands? You had a business that you've been wanting to start, or you wanted to go to school, right? You got a long-standing debt you've been trying to get off from under, that you've been having to go and get high interest ass rate payday loans to get. They talking about infrastructure, stimulus, growth. Family, paying ADOS folk would be the largest stimulus package this country could ever do. Immediately, it would stimulate the economy. Not next week. And I hear you, black man. I would love it to be generational too. But my point is, family, they got the money. If the desire was to pay the debt, they could pay the debt no fucking problem. They could pay it tomorrow. They wouldn't need a bunch of motherfucking conferences, a bunch of goddamn committees, a bunch of bullshit. They could have one blue ribbon panel commission to calculate all the damages suffered from 245 years of chattel slavery, 100 years of Jim Crow, continued redlining, continued mass incarceration, continued drug war, continued all that shit. Calculate the economic value as best they're able of all of that, then come up with a motherfucking pro rata share, a per capita amount, and cut the goddamn check. They could do it tomorrow. There you go, family. I just gave you the evidence. We need to make a whole bunch of folk hold their own nuts. These banks and insurance companies and shit back in 2008 should have held their own nuts. Instead, the first black president paid them motherfuckers $7.4 trillion. All these countries from Mali to Madagascar ain't putting shit in on your everyday existence, but they can get welfare from you. Them bitches should hold their own nuts. America is spending $2 trillion on infrastructure. Where's the ADOS brothers and sisters right now who are looking to organize to get black contractors and subcontractors in on those projects to get some of that $2 trillion? They got the money. They got the money for any fucking thing. If America wanted to build a ship, a spaceship big enough to put all 321 million of us on that motherfucker to take off of Proxima Centauri, they could build it. So tell me again how we begging. Tell me again how we begging the white man. How you begging when you the one shelling out dough to everybody? You a citizen. All these motherfuckers getting foreign aid and shit, refusing to hold their own nuts. We walking around carrying they nuts for them. Black men, the one that gets me the most is Cash App. And thank you. That's a great question. Thank you for asking. I appreciate your support. Family, support your interests. The only people I'm going to beg is you. I ain't begging nobody. I ain't begging nobody else. I don't have to beg my government. I petition my government for a motherfucking redress of grievances. By the way, Mary, welcome to the broadcast. Or Merle, sorry. And yes, you're absolutely right. ADOS folk need a land base. We need protection from the law. Family, before I go, because I'm going to wrap this up here pretty soon, but before I go, to show you just how far the fuckery goes, recently there was marches all over the country by undocumented immigrants, illegal motherfucking aliens, demanding to not be pulled over and harassed by police. These motherfuckers were marching to demand that the police don't enforce the law on them. When the last time you as ADOS, as a citizen, could tell the government, no, we don't want to be a part of that law. We good. No, you enforce that on everybody else. Don't enforce that on us. We straight. When have you ever had the temerity to demand from your government that you be exempted from any motherfucking thing? Go ahead, black man, ask your question. I ain't wrapped it up yet. No bullshit, Monty. Look it up. They had protests all over demanding that the United States does not enforce the law. And rather than them being laughed completely out of the motherfucking room, the pale stream media actually gave that shit airtime. They have gotten so brazen that they can come here and demand that they not have to be held to the same standard that you as citizens are. And guess what? With them punk ass Democrats that we have in there now, they likely to get it. Just so they can have another motherfucking voting block that ain't ADOS. Because they working hard to try to replace us. Family, 2020 is not enough. When we put the smack down on these Democrats, it needs to be hard, fast, clear, and permanent. These bitches need to understand once and for all just who the hell they're fucking with. No tangibles, no vote. Cut the motherfucking checks. Pay the debt. I no longer have this cup available, but I want you to read this. This was a quote from our esteemed brother, Martin Luther King, who said, "It's a cruel jest to say to a bootless man that he ought to lift himself up by his bootstraps." It's a motherfucking joke to tell us who have been the shoes of the United States to pull us up by our own bootstraps. We don't even have any. We don't have no boots. Black man said, let me read your question here. I'm an ADOS disabled vet. If a white contractor asks to use me to get some of that contract, am I selling out? Nope. You ain't gonna find a bunch of white hate here on this channel. Sorry. White folks are citizens too. If they can use you and actually remunerate you. See, here's the thing. I got no motherfucking problem with working with no white folks. So they get a cut and I get a cut. White folks, understand me. Pay me and my people reparations, and we can work together to do whatever the fuck you want. You want to do the Green Deal? We can do the Green Deal. Green New Deal. We can do whatever the hell you want. All you liberal bastards out there who try to tell us how much you hate what's happening to us, fine. Come help us push for America to pay this motherfucking debt, and then after that, we can be about whatever the fuck you want to be about. You want to tackle climate change? I'm down. You want to motherfucking stop the pipeline? I'm with it. You want to give a few bucks to Madagascar? Cool. Run me my shit first. No, you not selling out. If you can get that bread, brother, get that bread. Family, get the bag. That's what we about as ADOS people. Get the motherfucking bag. We should be the New Deal. Fuck a Green New Deal. This country needs a Black New Deal. This country needs a Black New Deal. All you punk ass white progressives out there who love to lament the murder of us in the streets, that love to lament the conditions of our neighborhoods, that love to lament all this bullshit, you motherfuckers need to pony up or shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear shit about no Green New Deals. I don't want to hear shit about nothing nobody else, what anybody else is talking about. Until there's a Black New Deal in the United States of America, fuck you. And that's all I got to say on it, family. That is all I got to say on it. Until there's a Black New Deal, which we know they got the bread for, I don't want to hear shit. Run us our shit. Cut the check. Or shut the fuck up. It's your man Mark Black, family. As always, it's my honor, my sacred honor, my duty, my obligation to support, advocate, and speak with your voice. To speak the words you need to have heard spoken. If you believe in that and you think that I've done a good job of that, support your interests. Click the links there in the description field of the video. Purchase some merchandise, grab a book, or just throw some spare coins your brother's way. And until the next time I see you, family, I want to wish you all love, peace, prosperity, and power. Real power to our people.